Disequencing is a kind of a body of work that I just came up with that is kind of exploring the ideas of obviously playing on genetic sequencing as kind of a starting point. What it's doing is it's talking about this kind of dysfunctional sequencing. And so then what happens is the work is exploring this kind of hybridization of all these different ideas. I think space is really the big thing that I'm exploring in here, and I'm kind of like figuring out many different ways that I can explore negative space, breaking that up with line work. Drafting is much more like the drawing is like a stronger element in these works, and I think I'm expanding and contracting so many different kind of planes within each work, and that kind of level of exploration is what I'm dealing with right now. I use a lot of high saturated acidic colors that kind of reference electronic imaging. You can see different references to biological as well as technological kind of influences. But for the most part, they try to keep like a certain level of ambiguity while still having a referential beauty. I think beauty is definitely a part of these paintings. The surfaces are on a clay board or gesso board, which are actually these panels that this actually has like a porcelain kind of finish. That's what the clay board is. And what's beautiful about that is it allows me to aggressively sand these surfaces. So what you're seeing is a lot of layering that not only are my kind of pools of color and then kind of coalescing and going in these different forms, but then I come in and I aggressively sand in areas, come back so that there is a push and pull, not only of kind of the visual space that happens in the negative spaces, but there's a push and pull going on even within the color areas. So these kind of gaseous clouds or these kind of liquid or biological forms, they kind of pulsate within that space, and that is kind of how I kind of use that. The biggest change that happened in this show is that in continuing my exploration of the grid suddenly started to twist and warp, and then I started playing more with curved lines, also this idea of receding and like space that would come out toward me. And I think this piece is a really great example of how you're seeing a lot of that negative space contorting. But the real issue that I think is significant for this body of work was the smaller scale. And I think that was probably the most significant development for this body of work. Usually work at a much larger scale. So the intimacy that was allowed to me by working in these surfaces, I think, was really strong. That was the best part, I think, that really kind of worked for me. And the other idea is that these works work from a distance. You get one image, and then it's really about that idea of coming up into the surface to really kind of experience all the little nuances that happen within the painting. That's what the essence of this show is all about.